Why don't femcels and incels date one another? They both think they inherently deserve the ideal guy, gals. Incels, femcels are literally the polar opposite. The answers from the other commenters already explained it, but I have one thing to add. Anytime you see an AMA from someone claiming to be an incel or femcel, you should recommend they find another incel or femcel to date. It's really funny. I do it all the time. You have to act like you're Thomas fucking Edison discovering the light bulb for the first time. Be really enthusiastic as if you just found the perfect solution and solved that person's woes. I don't know any personally, but I would assume they've given up on dating and won't put in the effort to get to know an incel or femcel, depending on their preference. I also don't think incels or femcels would make great partners in general, which could explain why they won't date each other. Everybody here is attacking the character of femcels, incels, when the explanation is actually really simple. Nobody wants to date an undesirable partner, even if they themselves are undesirable. For the same reason they aren't dating anyone already. They're too busy whining online. Edit. This comment got twice as big as the post. Lol. They don't think each other is good enough for them. It's not that incels can't date. They think they deserve a certain type of woman. When our incels was still a thing, I commented once and got 15 death and rape threats. Pretty sure anyone who meets people with that ideology in real life can sense the ick from a mile away. Contrary to popular belief, unattractive people are not attracted to other unattractive people. Is there an actual incel here to answer the question? Incels can be shallow for one thing. They don't want just anyone, they want what they consider highly sexually attractive people. They will make arguments though about how things would be better if people who they believe could be categorized by number would date only their number. However, there are two other big reasons this never happens. 1. Juggernaut theory. This is essentially the incel philosophy that suggests a woman's sexuality is unstoppable. To a lot of incels, a femcel is mostly a myth. They regard femcels most likely as just not realizing their own power by virtue of birth. Because men who are chads will not only have sex with very attractive women but, in fact, anyone. The whole reasons incels believe they exist is because these chads aren't just taking the tens, they are taking every woman. Even ugly women prefer attractive men. And men, ultimately, want as much sex as they can possibly get and won't turn down most sex offered. You have to be pretty horrendous for a chad to turn down sex, and even then they might go for it. So the incels stand no chance even with these mythical femcels. 2. Femcels would not want an incel because frankly incels are full of too much hate to be acceptable as partners for very long. To be honest, I understand some of their frustration. Dating is tough. Figuring out who you are is tough. It's all very hard. And the world is changing very fast. Dating is not the same as it used to be, and in the long run, that may be a good thing. In the short term, there's a lot of hurt and confusion and people who don't know how to respond to life not being the way they pictured it. I honestly believe most incels thought they were good people at one point. Romantics even, who just pictured this sort of fairy tale life of meeting a girl, dating a while, getting married, having some kids. That wasn't what life threw their way. The most confusing thing about incels, though, is that they aren't just sad, they refuse to look for any kind of solution. That's what this whole pill business is all about. It's wallowing in their own misery that they have created a community around. But the thing is, the only way they could really date anyone at this point, even a femcel, is to get out of the cult and deprogram. If an incel met a femcel tomorrow and with no deprogramming from the incel cult decided to date, Very quickly their worldview would result in actions and words even a femcel would find unacceptable. No one wants to date someone that deep down hates you. And incels hate women. Women to an incel is like Gollum to the ring of power. He loves and hates the ring even as he loves and hates himself. They want women. They think their life is incomplete because they can't have them. But they hate women so much they will ultimately drive women away. The longest this relationship could last would be under abusive conditions. It would solve neither one's problems and just make them worse. Can a femcel or incel date, marry, etc.? Yes, sure. They could also learn to be happy without those things. Potentially too. In either case though, the trick won't be finding each other first, it will be deprogramming from a cult that is really hard to get out of because everything around them is a confirmation bias, including ridicule from outside their circles. Well, if a incel and a femcel got together, they would no longer be either. Therefore, your idea is impossible. How are we defining incels? People seem to have different definitions of it. It's like how Christian dominionists and Wahhabi Muslims share extremely similar ideologies, but would likely murder each other before collaborating. It is a myth that incels begin to hate women because of constant rejection. They are constantly rejected because they start out hating women. They just can't accept blame for that and turn to resentment. Same would apply to femcels, although this is the first time I've seen such a term and suspect it is largely an incel invention, fantasy. What the living shit is a femcel? I work in domestic violence recovery. This does happen. And I assure you, she will be in my office in a few months. Incels hate women. Femcels hate themselves. I don't really know much about femcels. But unfortunately I know incel culture is essentially self-hatred that's redirected as misogyny. And simply gaining a partner isn't enough to overcome such a deep self-esteem problem. These guys need to be de-radicalized and have a lot of therapy before they're anywhere near the right headspace to have a healthy and meaningful relationship with a woman. From lurking, I have noticed one of the two groups straight up hates the opposite gender while the other group is just terrified of the other gender from constant harassment and bullying. So, I can see why they dislike each other. They may have similar ideologies, but incels are misogynists and femcels misandrists. So they have even less chance of getting along with each other than with normal people. Gonna repost my comment from last time this thread came up, because it's just as relevant now. You're getting a lot of BS answers from Redditors who think they know incels and that they just have high standards. Quote, firstly, incels don't believe that femcels exist. They think that any woman who's not literally disfigured can easily find a male partner. Secondly, incels believe that women are hypergamous, and that even if they did get into a relationship with one, she would not feel true love for him, and would inevitably leave if given the opportunity to get with a more attractive man.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.